Hey guys, hi, welcome back once again. My name is Vaishali, and having pursued and completed my master's in business administration and clinical psychology, and having learned quite a few things from, through, and within human interactions, I today wish to talk about emotions and feelings. Now, I'd come across this beautiful and profound line which went something like this: our job is not to always feel good, but rather it's about getting good at feeling the feelings. And many a times, most of us, when it comes to big/challenging emotions and feelings that are sensory in nature, we try to run away from them or avoid them. We feel frozen and unable to react or respond, which is kind of feeling stuck, paralyzed, or unable to move or do anything. Or we try to fight it and confront it. And that happens primarily because we are not well equipped, or rather we are ill equipped with emotional intelligence and emotional regulations. For through the course of our life, through the course of our development, whatever the period of development for us has been up till now, many of us during the early formative years of our life, when the foundation was being laid and built, we were not given the vocabulary. We did not hear the vocabulary with regards to talking about big and challenging emotions and feelings. And thereby, to us, it feels like a foreign language that we just don't know, that we just don't understand, that we just can't seem to comprehend. And many a times, invariably, when these big emotions that feel challenging seem to knock on our doors, seem to want to sit with us, we either run away or avoid them or try to busy ourselves into not feeling them. And unfortunately, whatever we cannot feel is something that we can't deal with. And if we can't deal with it, invariably, we can't heal it as well. So in order to be able to bring some context to that, I'd like to share my own personal experience with regards to feeling and dealing with some of the bigger challenging emotions. And the context to that is my father's passing away, is my father's demise. So having been there for my father for almost a month, wherein he was hospitalized and was in intensive care unit, ICU, quite literally and metaphorically, ICU. And the condition that he was in, wherein every kind of tube was inserted in him, was both heart-clenching and gut-wrenching. For here was a man who was tied down to the bed, who even despite his biggest handicap, his biggest challenge of living life with polio, which had affected him on all the four limbs since the young age of 3 or 4, was still somebody whom everybody called a fighter. He was somebody who did not have a bone in him that knew about giving up. He had the willpower of a bull. So quite naturally, when we saw him like that, it was debilitating. It felt heart-clenching and gut-wrenching, not just metaphorically, but quite physically as well. And though it was difficult, and though it was very challenging, and it still is challenging, we needed to sit with it in order to feel it, to be able to deal with it, so that in time we'll be able to heal it. And as we were doing that, and as we were sharing that space, we found our support system in each other. We found our backbones, quite literally and metaphorically. We found our shoulders, quite literally and metaphorically, that we could lean onto, that we could fall back onto, that we could trust. We found our supportive laps that could give us the space, which could hold our heads and our hearts, wherein we could cry, breathe, or even relax if we needed to. The laps and the hands that could hold us, quite literally and metaphorically, when the pain, which was both physical and emotional, got a little too much, got overwhelming. To be able to deal with it, to be able to feel it, to be able to process it alone, singularly. And through that we could express our gratitude even while dealing with the pain, even while dealing with the sadness. And not just that, even through this stage and this phase of sadness, which at times do overwhelm us. We, or at least I individually for myself, could also feel a sense of gratitude towards my dad, who upon reflection also prepared us very well for this eventuality. For he endured a lot of pain, he was in a lot of suffering, which to a degree feels like he took upon himself, consciously or unconsciously, knowingly or unknowingly, so that we would not feel the sudden loss, the sudden shock of his demise. He saved us of the sudden shock. He saved us of the sudden blow, so that we could prepare ourselves for the final eventuality of his passing away, for the final eventuality of his death. We could also be grateful for all of the things, the material things that he left behind for us. We could also be grateful for the memories that we built with him, the memories that we wanted to build with him, but unfortunately could not because of the lack of time that he had at times with regards to his own demands and his own profession, his own workaholism, which in a way today makes us realize, or at least makes me realize, that the memories that we wish we could have built with him are now the memories that we can build with our family. We can be grateful for all of the paperworks, a lot of which he took care of, he did not leave incomplete before he passed away, which is something that a lot of people face, which is something that a lot of people struggle with. When something of such a nature has been undealt with, has not been done, has not been dealt with, and then has to be dealt by people who still are alive. And we can be thankful that a lot of that has already been taken care of. A lot of that has already been dealt with, is in place, and that we would very likely not be getting overworked or overwhelmed by that. And through being grateful to a large degree, we can find moments of happiness and moments of peace within ourselves and within the people that we call our inner circle. So when we talk about emotions, especially the bigger ones, the heavier ones, the ones that feel more challenging, the feelings that we are not willing to feel, we need to reflect if we do not trust ourselves or if we do not have a trustworthy support system around us. We need to reflect and we need to question, would the person that we love and that we lost, at least physically, would want us to remain in that unhealed place, in that wounded place? And somehow if we are not able to connect to that, we can look at it a little differently. We can reflect to ask, would we want our children or the people that we love remain wounded, remain unhealed if we were to pass away? We need to reflect and to question, are we avoiding our feelings by not addressing them, by staying too busy, a little too busy, by not talking about them, by not addressing them, by not processing them, and thereby to some degree not even getting better at feeling our feelings? And just as a reminder, whatever we are not able to deal with, we can't truly heal. So are we then knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or unconsciously, wanting to remain wounded and unhealed? We also need to reflect to be able to see, to be able to understand, to be able to embody that we can and do feel a lot of emotions at any given point in time. Yes, of course, there might be one dominant or predominant emotion that is running the show at that point in time, that is embodying us at that point in time. But emotional intelligence and sensory intelligence can only be developed if we are able to even identify other emotions besides that one predominant emotion, besides that one predominant feeling. And when we do that for ourselves, we also give others the permission to do that for themselves without shame and guilt. Let's try and reflect on all of those aspects. Let's try and reflect on all of the emotions and the feelings that present before us, that present inside of us at any given point in time, at any given phase in our lives, so that we become more wholesome, so that we are not running away from ourselves, but rather running towards ourselves, coming back towards ourselves. Let's try and think about that. Let's try and even journal about that. And I will see you once again the next week. Till then, stay tuned in. And guys, if you do like the contextual content of these videos, please do share, like, and subscribe.